I thought you said they were your friends. If that's true, you really shouldn't be bullying them like that.
Yeah, well, they made fun of Kondo. They don't know what they're talking about. Those kids had no right to say that stuff.
So Hijikata is fair game, but he draws the line at Kondo? I suppose that shows just how much Okita cares about him. That's one way of looking at it, I suppose.
Why are you laughing?
What? Oh, nothing. No reason. I mean, Kondo really is a wonderful man.
Yeah.
He smiled widely and nodded vigorously.
I was pretty happy you got mad, you know.
I was confused about how to respond to his pleased look. I hope you can make up with them soon. I mean, they did apologize eventually. I don't think they're really bad kids.
I know. I'll tell them I'm sorry. Then I'll tell them how awesome Kondo is.
I smiled back at him. It cut both ways, but I admired Okita's honesty. The situation had been resolved, more or less, but as I began to relax, I suddenly remembered. Oh! We're late for dinner! Come on, we have to hurry! They're probably all angry at us. Okita just laughed.
Don't worry about it. If you get in trouble, I'll back you up. I owe you one.
Okita enjoys teasing me and, well, everyone. And sometimes he can be really irritating. He's not a bad person. Sometimes, in his own way, he's even nice. Seeing how much he cared about Kondo made him less intimidating. I was lost in thought and fell behind, so I hurried after Okita and headed toward the main hall. Aw, we had a moment of like, new town, who dis? Achievement unlocked. Chapter 3, we've been here a year now. Hey, it's that guy. Chicago. Oh boy. The dawn of the new year arrived. It was February of 1865, and we finished eating breakfast. I was carrying a plate full of tea and opened the door to the common room. Tea's ready.
Oh, thank you, Yukimura.
I made my way around the town, pouring a cup of tea for each person there, making sure not to spill. He gave me a warm smile as I handed him his tea.
There is nothing quite so delicious as hot tea on a cold day.
Thank you. I felt a flush of pride at his words, even though I knew quite well that serving tea was hardly impressive. Just the same, I felt as if I was helping out in a way, and that was a nice feeling. Then Hijikata spoke, and his words brought me back to the present. The Yagi have been good to us so far, but this place is getting crowded.
True, it is getting a little small, especially with all the new guys coming in. If we could move to a bigger place, that'd be great. Some of the guys in the dorm look stiffed. Yeah, the guys over at Maekawa residence are practically smushed sushi the way they sleep. Oh, to be a young grunt these days, I pity them. If only there was something we could do.
Easy for us to say, but imagine trying to find who else is willing to let us stay at their place. I mean, we are Kyoto's most hated.
A person sitting beside Kondo pointed at the map spread upon the table. Oh, hello! Who are you, sir?
What of this? Nishi Hongwanji Temple,
Another name for the Jodo Shinsu Hongwanji Temple in Kyoto. It allowed the Shinsengumi to make the temple their headquarters for a period of time. Cool. Oh, hello.
The Nishi Hongwanji Temple? I can't see any reason for them to accept us. But there are no other locations big enough to accommodate a living space for a few hundred men. And besides, the tactical advantage of this temple would allow us to fortify in times of panic.
Stepping out of the moment. This man was named Kashitaro Ito, recruited by Haisuke a few months ago as the Shinsengumi's military advisor and deputy commander. He's very pretty. Military advisor and deputy commander of the Shinsengumi. His field of study is literature with imperialistic philosophy. Interesting skill set. He developed his notoriety teaching Hokushin Ito in his dojo, and he is known for his scholarliness. A sword style that was popular in Edo during the Bakumatsu period.
Additionally, it is well known that the Nishi used to shelter the Choshu Ronin. If we moved to the Nishi Hongwanji Temple, it would be an advantageous hiding spot from the Ronin.
Oh, I see! Very good points. I can't believe you put this much detail into it.
Kondo seemed very impressed by Ito's suggestion, but a silent voice of protest arose.
You don't think it's somewhat uncouth to use force against men of the cloth?
Ito's brow twitched, as if disturbed by the idea, and he faced Sonan directly.
Would you say that to the Choshu Ronin who inhabited the temple and did as they pleased? But my, aren't you nice, Sonan? You're even considering the feelings of outlaw Ronin who actively disrupt the peace of Kyoto.
Ito's deflection of Sonan's words left a bitter taste in everyone's mouth, including Sonan.
I agree that this extremist imperial nationalist party must be dealt with, but this seems...
There are too many people! Who are all you people? So, what are you saying? When we meet in battle, do you expect them to respect the Shinsengumi on name alone and to engage in a fight fair and square? Wouldn't it be just peachy if all those Choshu Ronin were on their best behavior, like a Kamakura warrior?
Saburo, watch your mouth now, darling.
Darling? He has darling hair. Ah, my mistake. Couldn't help myself. He's wearing what I would wear if I was a part of the Shinsengumi. That would be my outfit. The other man beside Ito was Saburo Miki, who joined at the same time as Ito. Allegedly, he was Ito's younger brother by blood. Huh? You two look nothing alike. Captain of the Shinsengumi's 9th Division, he is Kashitaro Ito's younger brother. They joined the Shinsengumi together.
My apologies, everyone. This young one here has a tendency to let his mouth run free, you see. So, Sonan, don't take it too personally. I'm sure we need a person like you to make the Shinsengumi succeed. Even if your left arm is useless, your indubitable wit and book smart shall prove useful, I'm sure.
I watched as Sonan bit his lip, an act of restraint to Ito's sour words. Will you stop ganging up on my poor boy here? The tension was cut by another voice. Perhaps I didn't hear you correctly, Ito. Hijikata's voice was cold and sharp, like the sound of a blade sliding across a whetstone. Ito seemed taken aback and his eyes grew wide. Sonan's smart, like you said. But above all, he's a swordsman of the Shinsengumi. He is not useless, and he is not replaceable. Get it through your head. Hijikata only spoke when necessary, so it must have been something he truly believed. However...
But my arm is...
He couldn't even seem to bring himself to finish. It seemed as though Hijikata realized his words were reminding Sonan of what he used to be, causing Sonan to curl his lips into a frown.
Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause such a fuss. Next time I'll keep my thoughts to myself. Sonan is quite the beloved member here, isn't he? It's nice to see such a tight-knit group. It's just that, as I'm sure you thought about it, I hope the new members share that sentiment.
Hijikata's eyes seethed with anger towards Ito. Such a jerk. Kondo tried to relieve the tension by stepping in and clearing the air.
Well, for now, let's keep business strictly in terms of finding a new headquarters location. Ito, would you mind coming with me? I would love to continue our earlier discussion about a new base.
Sure, I'd love to.
I'm like, what are you doing, Takeda? Seeing the two get up, Takeda followed right behind them.
Chief Kondo, may I join as well?
Of course! I want you to hear what Ito has to offer and broaden your views. Even the captains of the Shinsengumi must push themselves to learn more than fighting. It is our responsibility to grow and gain knowledge, to expand our horizons.
Yes, sir.
Kondo left the common room with Ito, and Miki, however, who still sat before us... He smirked coldly towards us and he slinked off to leave the common room. Okita spoke once Miki's footsteps weren't audible.
Who brought those bastards into the Shinsengumi?
The culprit is still in Edo. Damn it, Highski. When he gets back, I'm going to give him a few punches. Ito is with the Imperial Nationalist Party, aye? Surprising to see people with the same beliefs as those Choshu bastards joining the Shinsengumi.
Well, nationalists think themselves to be above the Choshu for whatever it's worth. I mean, the Imperial Nationalist Party is. Well, just listen to the bullshit he was going on about the other day. It seems as though he has rubbed off on Kondo as well, which is a poor influence in my opinion.
Well, Kondo is a kind person. He is easily deceived by silver tongues, those who appear virtuous, but are real scumbags.
So, Ito is our deputy commander, and his little brother is the captain of the 9th Division, huh? That is gonna be a real bitch.
Eventually, Hijikata approached Sonan, who weakly hung his head facing the floor in shame. Sonan, don't listen to that asshole, okay? Sonan laughed dryly and shook his head.
He is well educated and a skilled orator. Not only that, he's good with the sword. With such a gifted deputy commander, I suppose the Shinsengumi has little need for a colonel.
Hey, Sonan! Sonan left the room as Hijikata's voice trailed behind, echoing in the hall.
Man, I feel bad for him. Even the men are avoiding him these days.
What? But why?
Well, can't blame him. No matter what you say to him, he takes it the wrong way. And no matter what you say, he acts like such a smug smartass, so the warriors are intimidated and want nothing to do with him.
Oh no, poor Sonan. Why'd you have to be such a jerk, Sonan? Even though I haven't been here as long as the captains, I knew Sonan was so well liked by the other warriors before his injury.
Hey, Hijikata, can't you come up with some bullshit excuse to kick Ito out? Ever since they arrived, it's been nothing but bad vibes and sour moods.
You know damn well I cannot do that. I mean, look at the way Kondo fawns over Ito. Besides, he brought a large force of men behind him when he joined. You think they won't make a stink if he were to just... disappear?
Well, damn. Aren't you supposed to be the demon? The commander from hell? You're supposed to make the impossible happen.
Fine, Souji. How about we make you commander? Then you can kick Ito and his guys out, right?
Ha! Hell no. That's way too much trouble.
The consensus was that Ito was not to be trusted, and it seems no one spoke in his defense. Only one, during all of this, quietly sipped his tea. Saito quietly looked up at me as I poured more tea into his cup. So... what do you think about Ito? I mean, about Ito joining, that is.
As an organization grows, it will expand to include people who have differing ideas and points of view.
Ah, so then...
However, if one attempts to force this sort of diversity, then the organization will begin to rot from within.
His words hung in the air, a dark omen for the future of the Shinsengumi. It was considerate of Ito to join, but his presence seemed to be a recipe for dissension, if not outright disaster. Oh boy. Things are gonna come to a head soon. The setting sun glowed through the windows with a warm, rich maroon, an ominous kind of beauty. It's cold. I came out into the yard and my body stopped due to the cold. Guess spring will take a while. I wasn't too fond of Ito, but it was Sonan and his condition that truly worried me. I really wish his arm would just heal. That arm, or perhaps more accurately the lack of it, was the source of his change in personality. Still, as nice as it would be for Sanan's arm to simply start working again, that seemed like the stuff of a child's fable, not real life. But thankfully, we're in a visual novel. That was when I remembered that.
If push comes to shove, he'll have to take it. I don't think Sanan's just going to give up.
Don't jinx him, Souji. It's gonna look bad if officers start joining the Furies.
Okita was talking about the Shinsengumi having some secret serum back in the day. Judging from how they spoke of it, it's an item with circumstances. But... and I was not to know about the existence of that serum. If I were to look into it without approval, there was no doubt that I'd be punished. But... I'm the daughter of a doctor. I'm pretty sure I had more knowledge on medicine than the men of the Shinsengumi did. We gotta be a wild card. Okita's a wild card. We gotta be wild. I know we're not really on the Sonan route, but maybe Okita could help us? We'll see. I'm going to muster the courage to look into this. But where should I investigate? My room is in the Yagi house. There are some rooms that I am not allowed to enter, but the captains live here as well, and I'd finally learned how to navigate the building. However, there was another building that was part of the headquarters for the Shinsengumi aside from the Yagi house. Some of the leaders, along with other warriors, live in the Maekawa house diagonal from Yagi. And Sonan, who's injured, has been holed up in the Nambu residence, located behind Yagi. Located in the back of the Yagi residence, Sonan takes refuge here after suffering injuries, and it is later used to hide other Furies. Since it's a residence, one cannot just stroll there casually, and since it is barely used by anyone other than Sonan, it is a little isolated. If there are secrets being kept from me, then they have to be kept in a place I'd never think to check. If I were to look into it, it would either be in the or the forbidden areas of the Yagi residence. Which should I look into? Oops, how about a save? I don't feel like it's gonna be in the Yagi for some reason. Nambu is like all secluded and it's where they're keeping some Furies, or they will keep some Furies, so maybe we should investigate Nambu? We'll see. Once I was quite sure everyone in the Yagi house was asleep, I made my move. So far, so good. Luckily, I was able to get to the entrance without anything happening, and I sighed with relief. Ah! How did you know?
What's so good so far?
The surprise of seeing someone froze me.
Aren't you a little bold one, huh? Trying to run away behind our backs.
Okita! Well, I'm not!
You sure about that? You are literally in front of me, sneaking around at night. How can I not assume you're escaping?
Do you think I would have waited a year? Look. Well, it's not like that. How was I supposed to explain to him? The more I panicked, the more I choked. This music.
I'm just messing with you. I mean, unless you were escaping, then I'll slit your throat.
One day.
I mean, how the hell could you possibly survive all by yourself out there anyway?
You're right. He was right. Even if I somehow managed to escape the Shinsengumi, I would lose my best chance at finding my father.
Well, whatever you're doing, knock it off. Kids shouldn't play around in the middle of the night. You don't want to get yourself killed because of something you didn't do, right?
Yeah. Maybe Okita was right, that it was reckless of me to investigate the serum, and thoughts swirled in my head before Okita spoke up again.
Well, if you see something scary, just make sure you scream right away, alright? Don't try and deal with it yourself, okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Does he know what we're trying to do? And he's like, I'll keep an ear out for you, girl. Scream. And I be there. Huh? He'd sounded rather serious for a moment. What do you mean by something scary? What could I run into in the Shinsengumi's headquarters that could be as scary as he thinks? He looked almost surprised for a moment, his face breaking into a wry grin.
Oh, you know. Like a nightmare or a ghost or something. Or, hey, who knows? You might run into our commander, the demon.
That does sound scary. If Hijikata found out that I was walking around the compound without permission... I'm going to go back to my room now.
Good girl. It's wisest to go to sleep. I'll just go finish patrolling the inner courtyard then.
Okita started to hum as he walked away. I didn't expect to be found, especially by Okita of all people. There was no way I could sneak into the Nambu house behind his back. Maybe I could investigate the Yagi house before going back to my room. Wait. I was so surprised I hadn't stopped to think. Why was Okita up so late? It was as if he expected someone to leave the Yagi house, but there's no way he could have known I would try. If not me, then who? Curiouser and curiouser. It was night at the Yagi house and dead silent. I tiptoed down the halls as quietly as possible. That was too loud. Huh? Were my ears playing tricks on me, or did someone just walk into the common room? I would be in trouble if someone saw me, so I did my best to blend into the shadows and hide. After a few moments of heart-pounding seclusion, my curiosity got the best of me. I departed my hiding place and crept toward the common room. I peered inside. Inside was Sonan. I wonder why. Something felt wrong. I just stood there. What is Sonan doing here late at night? I was at a loss. I was at a loss. Should I speak to him, or... Before I could make up my mind, he turned.
I never thought that it would be you who would catch me. How unexpected.
Sonan gazed directly at me and muttered, "What?" He's looking at me through this? Come on.
You're there, aren't you, Yukimura? Come out.
I guess he spotted me. I gave up and made myself visible to Sonan. I'm sorry if it seemed like I was snooping or watching what you were doing.
Well, I don't plan on scolding you. I mean, if you see a suspicious shadow in the middle of the night, of course you'd be curious.
Eh? It was very subtle, but I noticed something was off in Sanan's attitude. Did you take the medicine? He had a peaceful smile, something I hadn't seen for what felt like ages. It was a bit too peaceful, as if his worries had suddenly left him. It was an expression I have never seen since he'd gotten injured. Sonan? Did something good happen?
Why, yes, something did. Or rather, I guess I finally made up my mind.
Yep, he went for it. Something swished in his hand. Sonan, what is that?
You're wondering what this is, I imagine.
I mean, I literally just asked you, but yes. After his cryptic reply, he showed me what was in his hand. Well, that's devil's blood or vampire liquid elixir of some kind. Why does it have to be in a bottle that looks like that? Sonan was holding a small bottle made from fine Idro. Refers to glass, also called popin? Popine? Poppin? Something? But the glass was filled with a crimson liquid that looked like a poisonous chemical to me. Looks like blood to me.
This is a secret treatment developed by your father, Kyoto, under orders from the shogunate.
It's made from my blood! I knows it! I knows something from my character is in that vial. For healing purposes. But it's not working out so good. What? The shogunate ordered my father to do something?
They say it first appeared out west. The contents of this tiny vial can utterly transform a person.
What do you mean by utterly transform?
To put it simply, it makes them stronger and heightens their recuperative abilities.
It sounded like something out of a fairy tale. Oh, come on, girl, you have those abilities. If such a thing were to truly exist, the serum would be considered a miracle cure, but...
There is, however, a rather serious flaw.
His smile twisted only a little.
I suppose you could say it was too strong. It worked as advertised, but drove its patients mad. You've seen the results yourself, haven't you?
Ah! Of course. I'd seen the result of that madness the night I first met the Shinsengumi. Okita and Saito had killed off that monster with the white hair.
Your assumptions are correct. Yes, those warriors you met are of that ilk. They were no longer capable of what one might call rational thought, and were little more than bloodthirsty monsters.
His words brought a sharp chill down my spine. How horrible.
If they lose control whenever they see blood, then they're hardly much use in battle, aren't they? As unkillable as they may be. Kyoto conducted experiments on the core during the development of his treatment.
No! My father? Conducting experiments on human beings that made them go mad at the sight of blood? I couldn't believe it. No, I didn't want to believe it. I'm more worried that he's telling us all this because he's probably gonna kill us now. But there was no reason for Sonan to lie either. I saw it before my very eyes. Then did father really... Sonan shrugged off my disbelief and continued.
Unfortunately, when he disappeared, his research was put on hold. This vial here represents the fruits of my own personal research, based on what he left behind.
He shook the bottle gently. The liquid inside sloshed from side to side almost lazily.
I've diluted it as much as possible.
I had so many questions to ask him, but I didn't even know where to start, so I simply spoke the first thing that came to mind. If you drink that, will you be okay? So, that serum, will it prevent you from going mad?
To be quite honest, I'm not entirely sure. I've never tested it on anyone.
His smile faded.
If I take this, my arm will heal. Assuming, of course, I've mixed it correctly.
You mean you're actually considering taking it? He had no guarantee that it wouldn't simply kill him outright. And even if he did survive, it might well drive him insane. Sonan, please, reconsider this. I'm sure there's some other way. You don't need to rely on the...
I have no choice! This is the only way to heal this damn arm! I'm already useless here. Even the men have begun to speak ill of me behind my back. You will never understand me. I came all the way to Edo alongside my comrades whom I thought were behind me. And now I'm left here, given a position out of pity, and left to wallow in my own uselessness.
How could you say it's pity? You're a leader here. The Shinsengumi respects and needs you now more than ever. Sonan's eyes dotted with melancholy, flashing a brief smile that entertained the idea behind my words.
Ah, yes, I remember it well. I am a swordsman of the Shinsengumi, yes. And I am not useless, right?
Sonan seemed bitterly focused on the words Hijikata said earlier. They really did affect him.
There is no life for me as a swordsman. You're asking me to continue in some sort of undeath. Let me die as a person as well.
No!
It's not decided that it'll fail. The odds against success aren't as terrible as you think.
Sonan smiled as he said that, but there was no way to know what might happen to him. Considering the worst that could happen, I couldn't sit by and allow him to do this. Well, I'm seeing something scary, so Okita, I hope you're still out there. I scream. Sonan came to hate himself for being unable to fight alongside his comrades and friends. Even if they forgave him, he never forgave himself. But
I doubt you can understand.
was it the sort of thing only a fellow swordsman could comprehend then? How could I convince him to listen to me? It was then, in that moment of helplessness, that I remembered Okita's words. Thank goodness.
Well, if you see something scary, just make sure you scream right away, alright?
Of course! I could never know what Sonan felt, but another man devoted to the sword might. I screamed as loud as my lungs allowed, my voice echoing down the halls and across the courtyards of the compound. Aren't we just gonna bring everybody here? I'm summoning him like a incubus. Okita! But even as I cried out, Sonan drew his head back and drained the vial in a single draught. No! Oh. This music? With a soft clink of glass, it rolled from Sanan's palm to the floor of the common room. His face warped in pain and he collapsed to the floor. Oh! His hair began to turn white. Oh no! Sonan! Gah! It became clear to me that his pain was something no ordinary person could handle. Sonan! You have to hold on! Your eyes are going red, man. Through his fingers, I saw his maddening eyes. Before me were the eyes that greeted me on that first night in Kyoto. Behind me, I heard the door slide open. Sonan looked behind me over my shoulder.
Okita, you...
Good evening, Sonan. It seemed like Okita didn't even look at me, his eyes completely focused on Sonan, then briefly the small bottle on the floor before back to Sonan. Ha! He likes that we called for him. Yay! Thanks for the heads up, Chizuru. Okita, Sonan is... Sonan stared at Okita, his breath ragged and pained, like air struggled to stay in his chest.
Yes, she's right. This experiment was a failure. Okita, I hate to impose, but if you could...
Yes, I understand. His expression flashed into a familiar grin. Do we have to kill him? Even after Okita drew his sword, it still didn't occur to me what was about to happen. Sana. The polished tip of Okita's blade was pointed directly at Sonan.
Don't worry your little head. It would be my pleasure to help you die.
I'm glad to see you're quick to the task. It's expected from the sword of the Shinsengumi.
Sonan exuded calm at the sound of Okita's response. I held my breath, unsure if I wanted to see what was about to happen before me. Okita, you're not serious, are you? You aren't really going to kill him, are you? My voice shook with disbelief, and Okita's eyes paid me no attention. Knock it off.
You aren't part of this, so keep your mouth shut.
But... Wasn't Sonan his comrade? Or his friend? This is exactly why he's doing it, girl. Everyone seemed to give their heart and soul to the Shinsengumi.
But not like this.
It's really annoying, you know. You think you're part of the Shinsengumi.
He didn't even move, but his tone hit like a slap. But you were happy that I called you! I'd been living with them for so long that my initial fear almost completely disappeared. I felt like I'd found a place for myself.
If you've already forgotten, let me remind you. We only keep you alive because you're useful. You are not one of us.
His words shattered my already breaking heart.
Okita, you're breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow.
But just then...
Gah!
Sonan screamed in pain and I saw him kick the floor. Then I heard a horrific sound, like meat being cleaved and resounding through the darkness.
Ugh!
Peeking over Okita's back, I heard the loud thud of a body collapsing to the floor, and around Okita's foot pooled a dark red puddle of blood.
I can't believe Sonan is dead.
Wow. Somebody that you can date to the end is dead in Chapter 3. What? Sonan? I was trembling as I watched the blood trickle.
Stay away from him.
Okita's arm appeared in front of me, coldly.
What? But why?
I gave him a reproachful gaze, but he showed no signs of faltering.
Are you going to make me repeat myself? I told you to stay away from him. I subdued him for now, but I don't know what it did to him. Careful, he might still get up.
Huh?
What I did to him isn't enough to kill him, not after he drank that stuff. He's not gonna die.
So, Sonan is still alive? Okita nodded bitterly, his body locked into a defensive position. Okay, so you can't actually kill them, you can just kind of weaken and restrain them? Does that mean we have to come up with a cure?
I just told you, he can't die like you or I can. So, yeah, obviously he's still alive.
I was relieved from the bottom of my heart. Oh, thank goodness. This good news, however, didn't mean we could let our guards down. Sonan could lose his senses again and potentially mortally wound us. But for now, at least, Sonan is still alive.